Good morning and welcome to this beautiful day, a day of celebration. Faculty, you may be seated. Let us begin with a moment of gratitude. We give thanks first for this place and this time, for the ancient Rocky Mountains that tower over us, and their waters that flow down from snow to streams to our lips, for the radiance of the sun, the source of all our energy, the marker of our time, for a universe of wonder and beauty, full of living beings in this web of life on this fragile crust of earth, that web of which we are all an integral part. We give thanks for our ancestors, those who have walked this road before us, those who watch over us and dwell in our hearts today, those from whom we receive the gifts of DNA, of knowledge, and of love. We give thanks for the rivers of artistic, intellectual, and athletic traditions in which we partake, and for the parents and teachers who have challenged and nurtured students at Rowland Hall for many years. We give thanks today for this particular class of students and the community that they have created. And we honor their assembly today to take a step towards independence and the joys and responsibilities thereof. We give thanks for the privilege and the civic responsibility of a good education, and for this class's questions, passions, and promise. Finally, we give thanks for the chance to participate in this ritual, this rite of passage, one of those symbols of the renewal of life, a promise that the fruits of the earth, the struggles of our species, and the labors of our community are not in vain, but have a purpose larger than our lives alone. For these things, we give thanks.
Good morning. My name is Alan Sparrow. I'm head of school here. Welcome to the graduation ceremony for the class of 2017. It's great to see so many people here, but it really isn't a surprise because this is the largest class in the school's history with 90 students. They've accomplished a great deal. They're wonderful young men and women. At this point, I often used to, in the past, talk about some of their accomplishments, but there are just too many to do that. So I've written that up, and it's in your program. Touches on some, but not all of the things they've accomplished. I hope you get a chance to read it at your leisure. Now I'd like to take a moment to make a special note of the parents of these seniors who've been here for them, to support them, to encourage them. I'd like the parents of the seniors to stand up and we give them a big round of applause. I'd also like to thank the faculty and staff for all the caring, encouragement, dedication they had to trying to help your students, to help the seniors be as successful as they could be and to achieve what they wanted to. So now I'd like to ask the faculty and staff to stand and give them a round of applause. Now I'd like to tell you a story, and it starts with the fact that my high school chemistry teacher died in April. Now that's hardly the way to start a story when you're trying to celebrate someone's graduation, but there is a happy ending to this story. He lived a long and wonderful life, and we celebrated that with real joy in April. But to tell you the story, I have to go back a while. I have an older brother who was an exceptional student, particularly in science. And he was 3 years older than me. And when I walked into this chemistry teacher's class 3 years after he had been there, he continually called me David after my brother, time and time again, repeatedly. So after about 3 or 4 weeks of this, one day he looked at me and said, "David, would you answer this question?" And I just stared back at him. So he said again to me, "David, would you answer this question?" And there was a boy named David in the class in the back row. So I said, "If you want David to answer the question, he's sitting in the back. If you want me to answer the question, you can call me Alan." At which point I realized I was about to go to the principal's office because this was done even with less respect than I just indicated, to be perfectly honest. So I got ready to stand up to be sent down to the principal's office when he said, "You know, you're right. I won't do that again." And he never called me David again. And I was really surprised that he took that moment rather than to focus on my mistake, but to acknowledge his mistake. And about a month later, we had this big piece of equipment in the science lab that was necessary for us to do the labs that were coming up in in chemistry. And it broke. And the company that fixes these machines said they wouldn't be able to get to it for at least 3 or 4 months. And we were going to need it in the next month. So at the end of class, this same chemistry teacher came up to me and said, "Alan, would you like to take a shot at trying to fix this piece of equipment?" Now, I'm a junior in high school, and this guy's asking me to fix this hugely expensive piece of equipment. And then he said, "Look, we have nothing to lose. If you fail, we won't have the equipment. If you don't try, we won't have the equipment." So I can't tell you how pleased I was that not only did he think I might have the capability of doing that, but that he forgave me for my rudeness a month before. So fast forward another 15 years, I was at a conference with a number of other new principals, and the facilitator said, "How many of you had a teacher who made a difference in your lives?" Well, they all raised their hands. So then I said, "How many of you have written or called that teacher who made a difference in your lives?" And one hand went up, and it wasn't mine. So that night, I wrote a long letter to that teacher to say what a difference he'd made in my life. He was my favorite teacher in high school. He was my favorite teacher in college. I went on to take AP Physics from him. He actually supervised me doing research at Brookhaven National Laboratory in New York. This person became quite special to me. And I couldn't believe I had never said that to him. So I wrote this long letter to him, found the address from my former high school, and sent it to him in the hopes that he'd get there. So that summer, I went back to my hometown where my mother lived, and went to the gas station. Biggest smile on his face. And he said, "I can't tell you how much your letter meant to me." And we then shared for half an hour what was going on in our lives. And it was wonderful. And we parted, and I had never seen him again since then. So in April, when his daughter wrote to me to say he'd passed away, she also said to me, "I need to tell you how much that letter meant that you wrote over 20 years ago to him. Not only to him, but to me." Gratitude is a wonderful thing, and it seems to be a theme at this graduation. I didn't know it was going to be, but I think it's appropriate because gratitude is a wonderful thing, not only for the person that deserves the thanks, but for the person who gives the thanks. It means so much to both parties. It's a win-win situation. So though this letter meant a great deal to this man, I can't tell you what it meant to me when I learned that he passed away, that I recognized I had not missed the opportunity to tell him what a difference he'd made in my lives. So what I hope, seniors, you'll do today is find a teacher or more, but a teacher, a coach, a staff member who has made a difference in your lives and thank them today. I hope you'll do the same for the parents. And then I hope you'll set a reminder for your smartphone for 15 years from now and write or call or text or whatever the current most common form of communication is at the time, because we don't know, and let them know what a difference they've made to you. So finally, I'd just like to thank you for all the wonderful things you've done, not only for Rowland Hall, but for the larger community with your community service and other things you've done. And I hope you take those wonderful things you've done and continue with them next year, wherever you may go. Congratulations.
Congratulations, graduates. This is an exciting day. While we are thrilled and proud of all of you, the people I want to talk to today are your families, moms, dads, grandparents, guardians, and siblings. I'm Jennifer Price Wallen, Chair of the Board of Trustees at Rowland Hall. I put together a top 10 list of tips for parents and guardians that'll help them navigate life when you go away. So parents and guardians, here's the list. Number 10, unlike the drop-off on the first day of lower school, don't hover at college, just be available. Number 9, college students care more about what you think than they're going to let you know. Number 8, don't install a GPS on your child, expect all-nighters. Number 7, rest assured Roland Hall has prepared your child for college. Number 6, refrain from telling your kids these are the best years of your life. Like you, they'll realize this years later. Number 5, ask about their courses rather than focusing on grades. Number 4, send care packages, but don't compare to what your roommate's parents send. Number 3, don't send frantic texts if your child doesn't respond right away. Chances are they're still alive. Number 2, expect to feel like an ATM. College is expensive, and you might want to look into Venmo. And the number 1 tip for parents and guardians, please remember whose college experience it is. Congratulations to all of you, and students, let me welcome you to your new status as Roland Hall alumni. Congratulations.
Welcome. My name is Jennifer Blake, and I'm the Associate Head of School here at Roland Hall, and I am up here to give the Sumner Family Faculty Award. Outstanding educators are curious and adventurous, passionate about sharing their discipline with others, and ceaselessly seeking out new learning opportunities. This year's Sumner Award winner lives these qualities in his work with students of science at Roland Hall. You have probably already read about Rob Wilson in the fine print, learning that he was one of a few educators from around the country who was selected to partner with the University of Utah's Genetic Science Learning Center to pilot a new multi-week unit on evolution. Perhaps you also know that he leads 9th graders on a multi-day overnight trip with students to Camp Rogers in the Uintas, and they just returned from a week-long canoe trip with students on the Missouri River. He also volunteered to serve on the interim task force this year and offered great feedback on how to improve the experience for all students. Did you know that Rob also teaches ornithology? Offers several field trips for students to discover the birds of Utah and their habitats. Did you know that he helps students to see the intersection between literature and science by teaching Hemingway to 9th graders? Did you know that he always seeks out opportunities for professional growth, including in the past year, a Hemingway festival and a trip to Denali to study climate change? Rob models lifelong learning for his students while sharing with them his great breadth and depth of knowledge and lived experience as an educator and field biologist. He inspires his colleagues with the many ways he seeks out engagement within our school community and with the great outdoor lab that is the state of Utah. Please join me in congratulating this year's Sumner Family Award recipient from the upper school, Rob Wilson.
Good morning. It's nice to see a lot of familiar faces today. Just a quick disclaimer. If this speech sounds oddly familiar, it's because I'm almost certain that Mr. Innes hacked into my computer and stole my ideas regarding seeds and Mr. Rogers' neighborhood before he gave his baccalaureate homily. So, wow. I can't believe that we're all here graduating. They say that time flies when you're mostly having fun. But the 4 years of high school, now that it's over, did seem to go by pretty fast. When I first came to Roland Hall, I was pretty unsure of myself. I was just beginning to figure out who I was as an individual. And I guess you could say, Diane, this is for you. I was in the middle of Erickson's 5th stage of cognitive development. 5 is a hive. Identity versus role confusion. But I'm still learning about who I am today. And everything that I have participated in here at my time at Roland Hall has contributed to my success as an individual. I am a guy who wears pink shirts every single Wednesday in memory of the wonderful film Mean Girls, starring Lindsay Lohan. I have done that since the middle of sophomore year, and I have only missed it twice. I am also a guy who comes to school prepared every single day to eat lunch with a home-packed lunch in a clear Ziploc plastic bag. These are characteristics that will never fade away. But I'm also a guy who is a lot more friendly, a lot less shy, and a lot more confident. And I am also someone who is grateful for my experiences that I have had here at Roland Hall. Thank you. Was that enough time? Or should I go on? I'm just kidding. Sorry. I have a lot more prepared. So how did Roland Hall shape me? I like to think of it like this. Every student that attends Roland Hall is like a seed, filled with the potential to bloom. However, those seeds will never grow without the necessary nutrients, which is where Roland Hall comes in, the fertilizer. Sometimes it honestly just stinks, but it's filled with all the vital phosphates and nitrates for proper growth. Like everyone in the class of 2017, I possess some form of potential. And because of the strong and supportive community that Roland Hall has created, I found some way to bloom. And we all have. And we all know this because we're all standing here today graduating, all 90 of us. Now, when I came to Roland Hall, I came with only one friend, Kenzo Okazaki. And for 14 years, Kenzo Okazaki has been my best friend, companion, and mentor. I actually didn't think I would cry today, so. He has been my best friend, companion, and mentor. We met on the first day of preschool by simply asking, hey, you want to be friends? On our first play date, he poured a shovel of sand over my head, and all I could think was, all right, well, okay, this is how it's gonna be, cool. Pretty accepting for a 4-year-old. And that's the attitude that I brought to Roland Hall, acceptance. And it was nurtured and developed here. I accepted people and they accepted me back because people became my friends, even though at the beginning I was quite shy. They helped me to see that I had to get involved. They showed me that in my classes I had to, in the words of Kanye West, believe in my flyness and conquer my shyness. I had to speak up. I joined the swim team and the jazz band, and I made an effort to get involved. My potential to learn from teachers, to be a friend, and to be a leader was encouraged and developed here. I have blossomed. When I ran for student body president, I compared Roland Hall to Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, and I used the slogan, "Won't you be my neighbor?" In case you were wondering, yes, this is me with my face photoshopped onto Mr. Rogers' body. And I know some of you still think the slogan, "Won't you be my neighbor," is rather creepy, but I chose Mr. Rogers' neighborhood because it represented a fun and exciting place to be, as well as to learn. It was a place where students could explore, make relationships, and ultimately have fun. And Roland Hall is all of that, but more importantly, Roland Hall is a community. And a community is made up of people who look after each other, who tend to the garden, who make sure that we don't wither and die away. It's as simple as this. Friends help friends. Teachers help their students, both inside and out of the classroom. They make themselves available and approachable, and our parents help us. They get us out of bed on time. They pack our lunches, and they iron our pink shirts. And until we can drive, they haul us to all our practices, performances, and meets. And even after we can drive, they still come to the exact same practices, meets, and performances. But to be honest, I don't think that any of us could have made it today without this community that I proudly call Roland Hall. Thank you. From me and all of my classmates, thank you. So, Seeing that this is the last time I'm probably going to be graduating from Roland Hall, however, Will Matheson will say, you never know where your wild ride will take you. I'd like to end with the words from Winston Churchill, which is actually my senior quote. Failure is not fatal. Success is not final, but it is the courage to continue that counts. Thank you.
Over the past 2.5 weeks, I traveled from Salt Lake City to Thailand and South Korea. During this period, I spent much of my time in crowded airports and taxis, foreign coffee shops, and hotel rooms. In fact, I wrote this very speech on the 15-hour flight to Asia, cramped across narrow passenger seats. And somewhere along the ride, amidst the various accents and dialects around me, I began to see the airport for the strange irony it is, a crossroads for both the consolidation and rerouting of thousands of different people. And I think an interesting parallel exists between these world travelers and the graduating class of 2017. During my flights, I found myself seated next to an array of eclectic passengers, ranging from students to businessmen and women to anxious parents. And during my time at Rowland Hall, I found myself within a similar array of ability and interest. Within a class of only 90 students, we consist of college-bound skiers, nationally ranked debaters, and classical and modern dancers. We occupy the realms of computer science and hard science, poetry and journalism. We celebrate our artists, cowbell players, creative writers, and mathematicians. But above all, we consist of compassionate and hardworking students who each contribute to the microcosm of talent that is Rowland Hall. In the metaphorical airport that is today, we are optimistic and vulnerable passengers preparing for our next destination. Some of us may be literally flying across the world, others arriving at an unknown program of study. Yet despite our differences, we all share a commonality that is fundamental to our identity as former high school students, soon to be graduates. For each of us, Rowland Hall presented itself as a home, or terminal if you will, where we collect together before dispersing apart. Whether you have spent 12 or 4 or only 1 year as a student here, the connections and moral lessons developed at Rowland Hall will continue with you onto your future flights. As a recent traveler myself, I believe that the chaos of the airport terminal offers a hidden moral for our future ambitions. What I've learned from my travels is simply this: things never work the way we intended. Flights are delayed. You lose your luggage somewhere between New York and Barcelona. The escalators at LAX shut down, so you miss your transfer flight and spend the night in a foreign hotel, hoping to catch another one the next day. You spend 2 hours in traffic and arrive at your gate 5 minutes after departure. But in response, you adjust to the unpredictability. You sigh at the prospect of your lost baggage, but make do with your carry-on possessions. You fall in love with the city of Chicago during your 16-hour layover, or, like Alicia Liu, you find yourself seated 1 row in front of the Liberian vice president on your red-eye back from Philly. As victims of an unpredictable airport, as graduates eager and anxious for the next few years, we have each faced and overcome tremendous difficulty. How could we have discovered our drive and direction during the research project and, God forbid, symposium if we hadn't been under a bit of academic pressure? How could Sophia Ubero have possibly known that she wanted to continue skiing in the years after high school if she hadn't torn her meniscus and witnessed the worst aspects of the sport prior? And of course, how could we have beaten the freshmen in tug of war and proceeded to win the battle of the classes if we hadn't been losing to the juniors just before? We, as a graduating class, could not have achieved all we have without a bit of difficulty in our lives. Whether in the airport, the sports field, or the classroom, we have learned to simply adjust our paths in the face of hardship and find a bit of clarity along the way. When things get difficult and your initial plans change, hold on to your experiences with teachers and peers at Rowland Hall as testaments to your ability to persevere. And for whatever you do in the following years, from attending university, to traveling, to fulfilling your dreams elsewhere, remember this: there is no such thing as a final destination. In doing so, I hope you find yourself wandering into new and thrilling territories that may have seemed elusive, unavailable, or invisible to you prior. Thank you all. Here's to the class of 2017.
Good morning. I'm Mikey, or Coach Shackelford of Debate. As a brief off-time roadmap, I'd like to cover the commencement flow, extending some advice, impacting an embarrassing story, congratulating all of you, and if I have time, some voters. Is anyone not ready? Then let's begin. It is better to debate a question without settling it than to settle that question without debating it. My life has been and has always been debate, and I must admit that a lot of my questions are still unsettled. I don't have the meaning to life or, the path to happiness, but I do know a few things, two things that I'll talk about that coaching debate has taught me. The power of conviction and the necessity of keeping an open mind. So what this means for you, and what I plan to convey in this speech, is that I hope you find the strength to be resolved when necessary, but tranquility to be unresolved whenever possible. So first, resolved when necessary. Did you know that every debate topic starts with the same word? I'll prove it. Kind of commemorate the year for you debaters. I'll recite each official debate resolution in a row. It's hot, so I'll be fast. If you've ever heard a debater seemingly hyperventilating in the debate office, you know we can go fast. But I should warn you, there are a lot of controversial topics, and I don't want any Betsy DeVos protest graduation speech happening. I mean, as the political science teacher, I'd respect it, but take it easy on me, because Lord knows I've taken it easy on some of your grades. Here goes. Resolved, the U.S. should lift its embargo against Cuba. Resolved, colleges ought not restrict constitutionally protected free speech. Resolved, the United States federal government should substantially increase its economic and/or diplomatic engagement with the People's Republic of China. Resolved, probable cause standard ought to be applied to searches of students. Resolved, the U.S. should end Plan Colombia. Resolved, the United States ought to limit qualified immunity for police officers. Resolved, the U.S. should no longer pressure Israel to work towards a two-state solution. Resolved, countries ought to prohibit the production of nuclear power. Resolved, the U.S. should significantly increase military spending. Resolved, the United States ought to guarantee the right to housing. Whew. And as Isaac said, a year can go by in an instant if you don't take a moment to appreciate it. But seriously, every debate topic begins it with that word because they expect debaters to be unapologetically resolved, unwavering, uncompromising, unflinching. And there's definitely a time and place for that. For example, mentally, you are what you think. As Diane has taught you and neuroscience confirms, there's a mind-body connection. Your confidence creates real capabilities, just like your self-doubt can create real inadequacies. So I hope that you're resolved to believe in yourself the way this entire faculty has always believed in you. That you belong, that you're capable, and that you can do it. Because your resolution will become your reality. An even more important example might be your moral compass. Asking yourself, what do you believe it means to be a good person? I'm not going to tell you what that is. I think it's different for everyone, but I will tell you that you will be tested and you need to be resolved. And not one of those easy tests like a final or unit test that Mr. Wortham or Birchler gives. I'm talking about hard tests. Look yourself in the mirror tests, peer pressure and everything. It's easy to rationalize, to justify, to excuse, to just look the other way. It's hard to do what's right. But if you're resolved, you will be brave enough to do what's right despite people pressuring you to do the opposite. So make no mistake, there is a clear place for being resolved with your values, your aspirations, and your search for happiness. But all too often, conviction can also become stubbornness. Confidence can become arrogance. I'm right, so you must be wrong. Disagreement becomes hate. Today we have plenty of people who are resolved, but perhaps in the wrong way. So let me tell you and move on to the virtue of being unresolved. Embarrassing story time. The year is 2001, my senior year. You can try and picture 17-year-old Mikey. I was pretty much the exact same, just with basketball shorts. And picture me trying to summon up the courage to ask out a longtime crush. You know, the anxiety, what if she says no? What will my friends think? I gotta believe it would have been easier if I had Snapchat or at least a Finsta back then or something to make it easier. But I did it. I asked her to prom. She said yes. Everything was going great. Fast forward to the night of. People are dancing, and one of those upbeat songs comes up. My generation or my year, it was Nelly, Ride With Me, if you know it. So of course a circle forms to let people show off their individual talents. Some are doing, old school sprinkler stuff. Other people are breakdancing. But I had been developing some next level stuff. Predates the mannequin challenge or planking, I think. So when it's my turn, I ask for even more space, like I'm going to pull off a great flip or head spin or something. And instead, I flip, I turn over, and I bend down on the floor into a full face-down corpse pose, the dead man dance. Now, part of the dead man dance is you have to be resolved enough to keep the pose long enough to make it awkward. Well, it got awkward real fast. Many were confused, others were worried, screaming for help. And somewhere between the lyrics, "Do you want to take a ride with me?" and "Hey, must be the money," one of the chaperones had run to grab a defibrillator. Now, I didn't know this because I'm face down, resolved to keep dancing. And I didn't realize it till the chaperone flips me over to check for signs of life. I was alive, but I was a dead man. They kicked me out of the dance, my date stayed behind, and she never talked to me again. The moral of the story, besides don't play dead in public, sometimes you should change your mind, or at least look around to see if your stance is wrong. So my advice, to be comfortable with change, to accept the possibility that you might be wrong, doesn't make you a pushover or an apathetic drone. It makes you wise. It empowers you. You see, the benefits of an unresolved mindset are endless. Individually, it can set you free. Don't like your major 2 years in? Change it. Go to a party that makes you uncomfortable? Leave it. Be the person you want to be, not the person you are. Interpersonally, it can save a relationship. You don't always have to be right, even when you are. Be the first to apologize, empathize. Even socially, it can create the potential for real progress. Simply being willing to change your mind or moderate your position acts as an antidote against the toxic culture of hate, partisanship, and conflict that seems to exist today. Is Lord Farquaad really that bad? Just down with Farquaad. You see, too many people are metaphorically stuck doing the dead man dance to even consider the other position. And that dangerous environment grows when people stop respecting different voices. To be fair, most of the time, we don't even hear the other side, thanks to the amplification and self-reinforcement of our news feeds and social circles. And the times we are presented with another perspective, especially a political one, we reduce it to a caricature, automatically assuming it's not only wrong, but ignorant and evil. We are so resolved in our way of thinking that our perspective becomes the only possible truth. But where does this certainty come from? Why the intellectual hubris? Everyone knows that humans are fallible and that we have built-in biases. Left unaddressed, those biases can blindside us, breed intolerance and misunderstanding, and prevent common sense solutions to pressing problems. And that's what's so exhilarating, really, about your graduation. You get to leave the echo chamber of high school, of family, even friends, to join new communities with new ideas and differing perspectives. I hope you realize that some of those powerful voices and most impactful people in your lives when you're older will come from people you haven't even met yet. So keep your ears open. Take a page out of Einstein's book when he said, "The more I learn, the more I realize I don't know." And have some epistemic humility. Find peace in being unsure, find joy in exploring difference. For when you take a moment to be unresolved, you're freeing yourself to listen. You're moving from judgment to understanding, from reaction to reflection. And that's what this world needs: more reflection, more understanding, and more humility. So ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, my beautiful wife out there, parents, and most of all students, I'm humbled by your talents, your aspirations, and your values. I'm honored to be part of your graduation, and I'm so proud of you. So let me conclude with a modification of my favorite prayer. I hope you are granted the serenity to be unresolved, the courage to be resolved, and the wisdom to know the difference. Congratulations, class of 2017.
Good morning, families, friends, faculty, and staff. I'm Ingrid Gustafson, the principal of the upper school, and it is truly my pleasure and privilege to be here this morning for the first time at a Rowland Hall graduation. It is also my great honor to add my congratulations to this most excellent class of seniors. In a very few short minutes, you will be graduates of Rowland Hall St. Mark's, but in the meantime, we've got to get you some diplomas, so here we go. Jordan Abdallah. Shubaira Aminzada. Olivia Candice Askew. Lane Rachel Baker. Madeline Paige Vaneth. Madison Marie Barker. Tarek Basic. David Walter Bernstein. Zach Baskupiak. Simon Braun Freck. Miabella Bricky. Kate Ann Button. Jackson Charles Bick. Emma Kurtz Carlin. Kaylin Tielander Karen. Emily Daniela Macias Chase. Lena Chan. Addison Marie Christiansen. Jason Liam Cowdrey. Anne Elizabeth Cox. Madison Emily Dacklin. Benjamin Espinosa. Megan Fenton. Chloe Lise Fleischer. Nicholas Scott Fontaine. We have one graduate who could not be here, Zhaohan Olivia Gao. Kayla Pearl Gilbert. Summer Lynn Glasgow. Ethan Go. Jacqueline Kelly Graham. Anna Frances Greenberg. Cheyenne Hayes. Katie Olivia Henn. Knox Heslop. Samuel Hirsch. Linda Elizabeth Howell. Corinna Howell. Libby Rose Hunt. Elizabeth Eugenie Izampuye. Wesley Jasper Johnston. Davis Fisher Kaler. Keelan Taya Kenny. Rachel Lila Kovnick. Ishan Krishnan. Isaac Landau. Grace Ann Lee Lewis. Astrid Anna Lindgren. Alicia Liu. Eleanor Ann Mancheski. Adam Derek Manolin. Eleanor Freeman Martin. William James Matheson. Sean Knox McDaniel. Daphne Smith Mitchie. Samuel Joseph Morris. Rachel Ann Morris. Olivia Beverly Mugway. Walker Frankel Nasser. Ned Peter Neal. Joshua Albert Nicoy. Stephanie Ann Nolan. Matthew James O'Brien. Kenzo Edward Okazaki. Levi Jacob Allerton. Matthew James Orford. Christopher Daniel Panish. Adrian Lee Parkinson. Stephen Zoltan Pazinski. Madeline Veronica Percy. Davis J. Porges. Abigail Lee Powers. Amber Midori Puri. Luke Thomas Roberts. Catherine Elizabeth Rogers. Jack Henry Scaife. Willem Clarence Seataller. Cindy Lynn Shen. Elliot Daniel Staton. Marguerite Ann Tate. Elias Aubrey Taylor. Caden Todd Van Orman. Caitlin Ann Vesterstein. Julia Sophie Villar. Michael Jeffrey Vitek. Natalie Davy Weed. Elizabeth Cahill Westerman. Ethan J. Williams. Benjamin Nelson Wilmore. Toby Yoon. Sophia Carmen Ubero. While she's walking back to her seat, I should have mentioned ahead of time that we're taking awesome pictures for you and we'll send them to you over the summer. So if you didn't get one, you'll get one. Graduates, please rise. I present to you the class of 2017, Rowland Hall St. Mark's. It's that time to move your tassels from the left to the right.
Congratulations, graduates. We are so proud of you. We care about you and love you greatly. It's my honor to end with a blessing for you. And keeping with the theme that Isaac and I have been cultivating, my blessing to you is may you grow like trees. Find good soil, good light, and good company in fertile forests. Balance every branch with a deep root. Drink deeply from deep waters. Grow from the inside to the out, widening yourself and starting there. Become a habitat for other beings. Offer protective shade to those who need it. Your leaves and your berries are meant to be eaten, and the world needs them, needs the nourishment you can give. Make the words, your very breath, a source of oxygen and life. Be the lungs of the world. And wherever you transplant yourselves in the future, remember when you were a seed. Remember where you first put down roots. Remember the nursery and the gardeners who nurtured you. This is my blessing to you. We have now come to the end of our graduation proceedings. Our faculty will lead the procession out, followed by the graduates. Family, friends, please remain at your seats until the procession is finished.
Families and friends, thank you for joining us this morning. If you head out this way, you might get to catch the seniors having their pictures taken and tossing their hats out back. There's also a reception in the field house, which is also in this direction. Thank you.